Welcome back everybody to Forza Motorsport. So we're going in for another championship this time round. We did the practical performance one last time, and now we're going in for the built for sport one. Now I didn't realise that you could actually skip the whole qualifying and practice rounds at the beginning of before each race. So I'll definitely significantly shrink down the time to take doing one of these championships. So still will be split into two, as there are 6 races in this one. So there's one more than last time. But yeah, let's see what it's all about and what we're going to be racing in.
Every year, manufacturers set out to build a car of the moment that defines who they are. Cars that are nimble, well-engineered, with a futuristic design aesthetic. Not exclusive automotive fantasies, desirable, attainable. Each offering a welcome invitation for a motivated, hard-driving enthusiast to get in, buckle up, and then define who they are at the absolute limit on the racetrack.
Right, so it looks like modern sports cars, which should be a nice choice of cars to choose from. Good variety. So yeah, we've got the likes of, let's start from the top, we've got the likes of the Alpine A110, the BMW Z4 Roadster, the Lexus RCF, which I find to be really rather underrated. A lot of people hate that car, but I really quite like it. Especially like the fact that it's gone for a naturally aspirated V8 back when it wasn't exactly the most popular thing to do, and it certainly isn't now, and yet Lexus still goes on with that. Then we've got the Lotus Evora S, a Mercedes-Benz SLK 55 AMG. I like the previous generation SLK to this one. Unfortunately, we've not had that in a Forza game for a long time. I'd love to see that one come back because, yeah, that one's a little bit lighter and it's got a far better sounding engine. But yeah, this one's still a good, decent sports car. Then we've got the Nissan Z and then the Nissan 370Z Nismo, which is the far better version of the standard 370Z. The Nismo version is just that little bit better in a lot of ways, but the Z car is, yeah, the better of the two by a long shot. As yeah, as you can see, it's got more power from a smaller engine, more torque. It does weigh a little bit more, but the extra power certainly makes up for that. Then we've got the 718 Cayman GTS from Porsche, which, yeah, is a decent car, but I much prefer the latest Cayman to be added to a Forza game in the form of the GT4, I think it is. It was added in via the Super Speed car pack. I expect a review of that at some point, but yeah, much prefer that version because it's got that insane flat 6 9,000 RPM engine in it, which is really rather quite great. And then we've got the Toyota GR Supra. Now I already own this car, so it is the obvious one to go for, but it's not got all that much in the way of power. It's not the lightest of cars either. And yeah, I don't find it the most exciting of cars to drive. Oh yeah, it's saying choose one of the cars you already own. So I think I'm gonna, yeah, I've got a toss up between the Lexus and the Nissan Z car. So the Lexus has 6.4 in the way of speed, 2.7 braking, 2.8 handling, and 3.4 acceleration. It's obviously got way more in the way of power and torque than the Nissan does, but it's also got far more in the way of power. Weight even, yeah, and this has slightly better handling, slightly worse braking, and slightly better acceleration but worse speed. I think we'll go for this. It's cheaper as well, so that's another reason to go for it, and it is newer as well, so yeah, let's see what this can do. Now, we've not had this in a previous Forza Motorsport game. Made its debut in the Forza Horizon 5, and yeah, I really do like it. So let's go in blue. I like the blue colour on this one. That'll take us down 83 grand, but it should be worth it. Right, so our first race is a Silverstone racing circuit. It's not the GP circuit, so it's quite on the shorter side of things. So let's... Now we are going to do some upgrades because we were hopelessly outclassed at times in the previous one, previous championship that we did. We're only going to go up to the top end of A class, I think is the limit, but obviously we don't have that much in the way of these crappy CP points, or whatever they are, car points and whatever they call them, to use, so we can't actually do all that much to this car. That gives us an extra 22 horsepower though, which is a fairly decent increase. don't want to just go for pure power though. What else can we do? We can do the brakes, but no we can't because we don't have enough of those goddamn awful points. Can we do the tyres? No we can't. Can we do the wheels? No we can't. Can we do the clutch or the transmission or the diff? No we can't. Can't do any of the aero, can't do any of that. So we're just going to shove a load of power into it and see if that helps, because we can't do diddly squatting in any other area, which just shows how awful this upgrade system is. Take any car in any of the previous 12 Forza games, 5 Horizon, 7 Motorsport games, and do whatever I want with any car and have fun with it in that regard, online or otherwise. Whereas here, we're just being told to do whatever they want us to do. I'm not bothered. Let's just go straight in. Can we? Yeah, and you also have to start the practice before you can skip it. Again, no idea why. Why is it not in the menu to start with? So yeah, we'll just quit that straight away. Skip practice, as you can see. So why is that not just available in the main menu at the start of the race before having to start practicing? Again, makes no sense whatsoever. So it's a lot of these stupid decisions that just don't seem to have been, you know, made by anyone that actually plays these games for any substantial length of time. Right. So we're going to stay in 12th just because, yeah, we haven't done any practice, but I've been on this track plenty of times before, but we still haven't done any practice, especially with this version of this car. So fuel, we'll drop it way down. We don't need enough fuel for 18 laps, for instance. We'll put enough in for 7 laps. 22% that'll do. So obviously that's not going to get us around for a dozen laps or whatever, but we only have 4 or 5 or whatever it is, so yeah. Got enough in the way of fuel. And there is plenty of things that this game does do right. I do think the fuel and tyre management is a good thing. I was in an online race with my Aston Martin DBS in, I think it's A-Class that I was in that. I finally got it up to the top end of A-Class after multiple races to get the required points. But basically I was driving that car like a lunatic, and yeah, only had 1 extra lap of fuel over the requirement, but because I'm in a big thirsty V12 and revving that car and driving it very hard against my competitors meant that, yeah, I was literally on half a lap of fuel by the time I got to the finish line. So that kind of thing is really good, no doubt about that. And I feel like the online racing now is substantially better than it was in previous Forza games. Yes, you still have some of the idiots that you come across, but they're now getting massive penalties. I even had someone in a race get disqualified from the race completely, even though it was on the last lap, purely because they cut a corner completely to the point where they were going to gain several seconds in time over everyone else, and yeah, they just got disqualified there and then on the spot, which was, yeah, really great to see. So yeah, there's no doubt there's been major improvements over the previous game, certainly in several specific areas, but it's just the upgrade system that is just the big spanner in the works, quite frankly, and it just makes no sense. Plus there's also the fact that I've consistently tried to turn off the AI and normal driver decals and whatnot, and it just still is staying there. Pretty sure you'll have seen me do it in the previous episode on this game, where I specifically went into the menu, turned it off, and yet they were still there. It's stuff like that that makes no sense to me. It's also another thing is that the when you come to choosing a car, you'll race a car around, but if it's not in your car bay and it's not your number 1 car in your car bay, then you constantly flick back to the car that is in your car bay. Again, that makes no sense to me. If I want to be in a specific car, then I want that car to be there until I want to choose to get into another car. I don't want to be flipped back to a car that is just there because it's one of my favourites. Again, it makes no sense to me whatsoever to have that as a system either. And it's all of these systems that just don't work, or all these weird oddities that just don't work, are all based around this nonsense idea that because every other game has had freedom to choose which cars you want, buy what cars you want, upgrade them as you want, that means that people don't have any sense of car ownership. But that's just complete idiocy. Every car that I've driven on Forza Horizon 5 that I've raced and driven in for multiple hours, I feel a sense of ownership with those cars because I can do what I want with them, because I can race them where I want, when I want, and against who I want. And yet, here, it seems like everything is gated off just because maybe they think there's not enough content in the game, and therefore they want to force people down the route of only being able to drive certain cars. Something like that, I'm not sure, but that's just the way it comes across. Because the career mode certainly doesn't have a lot to it, and the online races do not have enough, variety, and they don't swap over enough. And sure, previous online racing in, say, Forza Horizon 5 was hardly perfect. You had a lot of people that would crash, which was always annoying, and still is annoying whenever I try it on there. And yeah, you also had plenty of the races on there that were just easy to cheat on, which again is not going to be the case for this game. And there were also not enough variety in the races in those online races either, which is sort of the issue with this, but also not. As yeah, there are several tracks here obviously, but there are also a few that are missing that we've had before. Brands Hatch, I think, is one that we've not got anymore. The Hockenheimring, which is one of my favourite tracks to race on, and we don't have that anymore. Also, still don't have the full Nürburgring either. So yeah, they're the kind of issues that are still plaguing this game. And it wouldn't take much to fix it, quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned. I'm completely outbrained myself there. Just change the upgrade system to back to the way it was, get rid of the CP things or whatever they're called, and just put on specific class of races. There, sorted. You can do all of the featured ones and whatnot, and the specific kind of one mate races and all that lot, and that'd be fine. Have them on there for people that want them. But I don't want to be racing around in one mate cars. It's just not fun enough for me. It's not. There's no variety to it. There's no excitement. There's no unpredictability to those kind of races as far as I'm concerned, because you're all racing in the same kind of car, and it literally only comes down to skill. And I'm by no means the best racer in these games, but even I can see that there's going to be some people that will be put off by that, and therefore not want to take part in those races because they feel like everyone's just going to be far superior to them, because there's no advantages and disadvantages to what car they're in, because everyone has the same advantages and disadvantages. Oh dear, this car's brakes are awful. Or at least they are with this amount of power that I've given it. But yeah, these choices are just completely off-putting to my enjoyment of this game. Because there are enjoyments to be had out of it at times. Definitely are. I've had some really, really fun races online. But as you can see here with the AI, it's pretty much a no man's land right now. I'm not racing against anyone really. Because the two up front are too fast and the ones behind aren't quick enough. If I put the difficulty down 1, then we'll have what we had in the first ever race that we did with the Golf in the Practical Performance Championship, where it took me no time at all to get to first, and I was up front there and then for the rest of the race. You see, I wouldn't mind if this was clearly a rush job, like it was with Forza Motorsport 5 when they wanted to get it out for the Xbox One. But they've had years to work on this game. You know, it's been forever since Forza Motorsport 7 came out and the support for that game was dropped in terms of adding new stuff to it and whatnot, but they've had no excuse with this whatsoever to feel like half a game, feel like a rush job, feel like no thought has been put into anything whatsoever. And as you can see, even there, my lap times were way ahead of first and second, and yet for whatever reason they are able to keep ahead of me. No idea why. Why is first place 7 or 8 seconds ahead of me when I'm a good second or so quicker per lap? Should be a lot closer than that. So yeah, that's another annoying thing, the AI. But still, we are in third place. It's a good podium position to start this championship off with, so let's see if we can do any better in the next race. I'm sure we'll get some useless upgrade that we can get now. Yep. Oh, rim styles, really needed those. Oh, rim sizes, yeah, they're helpful for racing. That is helpful for racing, thankfully. So yeah, let's exit out, upgrade the car with the new tyre widths, if we've got enough points to do those in the first place. But this is another thing here, look, see, I'm in my Aston Martin now apparently, so even though I was just racing the Nissan, so I have to go into my cars, I have to scroll all the way along to N, press A, let it load, then go into upgrades, then go into performance, then go into platform and handling, oh no, tyres, and then I can start to upgrade the car. And I can only do 285mm. All that just to do one upgrade, and then I have to come all the way out after saving it, which takes forever for whatever reason. Then back again, then into race, then into career. It's just a lot of faff. I have no idea who designed all of this UI and whatnot, but there clearly aren't some. Oh, I guess I could have done it in here, but regardless, it's not obvious that that's something that you can do, to be honest. But my point still stands about going through all the menus and whatnot just to get to the car and upgrade it the way you want it. For anything, if I wanted to go online, I'd have to do that, because it doesn't let you upgrade it before the race. And then again, we have to start the practice, we have to quit out the practice, we have to go through all of the cutscene and whatnot, and then start the race after that. Why so much faff? There is no need for it. Just like it's purposely trying to waste your time. Can't skip this either. Could have been partway through a race by now, but you know. Right, so we're at night time. We're gonna stay in 12th. Or skipping fuel. Why can't I do this before I start the race? Why does it have to be on the grid? Again, more wasting time. You should start. You wouldn't fuel up your car on the grid, would you now? You'd fuel it in the pits when you start the race. It's just pure nonsense. And it's just so aggravating because it's just simple things that needn't be have changed or needn't be implemented, and they're there regardless. Alright, let's see if these slightly wider rear tyres can help us here at all. Should help us keep a handle on the power a little bit better. Make our way for the pack at all, which doesn't seem likely right now. braking that hard on that corner, I do not know. Ghastly lime green wheels on that car there. Oh dear. I also wish it would make a decision on whether or not there's a penalty or not a lot quicker. Because then you just sat there staring, waiting for it to come up with a decision, and it just takes a little bit too long, especially when you're in a fast-paced race. I mean, that off that I had there was clearly an obvious mistake. It wasn't in any way going to make my race more advantageous or anything, and yet it took forever just to come up with a no penalty decision. Come on, beat the Cayman. Definitely recommend putting the proximity arrows on as well. It's not as much of an issue for career mode, but it's extremely handy for online. Although I do wish they'd bring back the how far ahead someone is in feet or in terms of whatever measurement that you use. I found that extremely handy in previous Forza games. I can't remember which one that was actually in, but yeah, that was extremely handy online. It's a better reference for me when it comes to how far ahead someone is and how many seconds or points of a second they are ahead. A lot of understeer in this car. Better job of keeping up with second and first than last race. Yeah, because this is a bit more speed orientated and I obviously have a lot of horsepower. Another thing that is quite annoying, and then this is certainly something that comes down to how much time you typically have to do a race, especially online, but I do feel like getting into an online race and it's starting and whatnot, it takes way too long. I think the practice and qualifying time is far too lengthy. I don't see the point of having it for 25 minutes. It should be about 10 or 15. Because, yeah, no one needs to be practicing for 15 minutes or whatnot. That's a good, on some tracks that's a good 5 or 6 laps or whatever. And you only have 3 laps in qualifying, which for a typical 2-minute lap race is going to take you between 8 and 10 minutes. So, yeah, there's no, not even that, between 6 and 8 minutes perhaps, something like that. So, yeah, there's no real reason to have it that long. It just means it takes forever to get a race going. It's 25 minutes of practicing, then all of the loading, waiting for the connections to happen and whatnot like that. So you're talking more like half an hour to 35 minutes at times, and then the race starts, which itself is sometimes like 10-15 minutes. So yeah, I'm obviously not asking for the quick turnaround that is in Forza Horizon 5, you know. sometimes the lobby in that can last only like 10 minutes, which is not long enough at all. Especially since some of the point-to-point races on the street racing can only be about 2 or 2.5 minutes of a race, which is again far too short. But there's a middle ground. Yeah, I just think it's far too long on the line. But we have, as you can see here, for some reason the difficulty has suddenly swung well in my favour. Because, yeah, first and second are far behind. And I'm far from the quickest on this circuit either, so it's hardly me, and I really doubt the slightly wider rear tyres have made a massive difference to give me this much of a lead. I wouldn't even say with all of the extra power that we've got with the quickest of cars either, so yeah, the AI is wildly inconsistent at times.
Lap. Let's go.
They're miles behind. You see, I'd be tempted to whack the difficulty up, but then I just know that it would swing the other way. Where it's impossible to get a win, and it's impossible to get on the podium. And it just seems to be different for different tracks as well. Because there's no reason really why I'm quicker here than I was on Silverstone. Let's see how far ahead I am this time. First place in the previous race was about 8 seconds ahead, so let's see how far we are ahead this time. I'm the only one below the 1 minute 30 mark as well in terms of lap times. And somehow second place has got a penalty. So yeah, oh yeah, it's already come straight up because they were that far behind. So yeah, he's 15 seconds behind us. What? How? Or near enough 15 seconds, but with that penalty on top. So yeah, that makes no sense how I can be 8 seconds behind first place in the previous race and then suddenly be 15 or 14 seconds ahead of them in this race. It's wildly inconsistent, but regardless, that gives us the lead on the championship so far, with 3 points ahead of second and 5 points ahead of third. So let's move on to the third and final race for this part of this championship. See what we can do. What's it giving us this time? Anti-sway bars, flywheel. Not much, clearly. Alright, so this third race, we're in patchy fog on Maple Valley, no less. So one of the fake circuits on this game. Right. So, what was it? I hate trying to remember what I've been given, it's so stupid. So I'm going to swing it right up to race. How much weight does that knock out? Fair bit. We'll give that. Obviously that also means that the engine can rev a little bit better. Still can't do a lot of other upgrades, quite frankly. I know that will make us 50 down. That will increase the power. Also increases the weight. Only by £7 though, and it does give us 10 extra horsepower. As you can see, the ratio to horsepower to pounds does actually go up, so we are actually gaining by doing that. So yeah, we'll do that. Right, so let's see what we can do in the dense fog in Maple Valley once we get through all of these menus and get the race actually started.
Turn 1, Maple Valley's farmhouse.
Don't care, heard this a million times. I don't know why they constantly berate us with this kind of stuff. So yeah, start practice, choose your fuel when both of those things should be chosen at the beginning of, before we start the race and pits, but regardless, making us do this for no reason whatsoever. Time is not on my side. Come on. Right, finally. I say finally, but skip, wait, endlessly, there we go. Right, fuel, we've only got 4 laps, we do not need 3 times that in terms of fuel. Right, 21%, let's go race, finally. At least we do have a race countdown on these races though, unlike Forza Horizon 5, which is pretty much just starts you on the fly. You can't even really get a good launch. Foggy. Can't remember if there was fog in the previous Forza game, but it's nice that it's in this regardless. Oh dear, sorry. Although it's the worst fog I've ever seen in a game by the looks of things, because it's just these intermittent patches rather than, you know, like fog actually is, where it's fairly consistent for long stretches. And to be honest, the way that they've done this fog does not really impact the race at all. I'm not struggling to see anyone being in front of me, I'm not struggling to see the corner or the apex or anything like that. Not sure if it can get any denser than this, but if not, then it's pretty pointless. Get out of the way, you slow BMW. No need to slam on there, Jesus Christ. God, they really do not have the ability to moderate their braking. I guarantee you'll slam on here. Yeah, pretty much. Whoa, what the hell was that? Clipped something there. Never had that happen before on this track. That was weird. Surprised me I was able to actually catch it. I was fully expecting to slide out there completely. Get in front of this guy, I'll have a clear run against the next three. Come on, catchy monkey. I'm a lot more cautious online, but I do take more risks on career mode just because obviously I'm not really negatively impacting anyone. Yeah, I think I'm currently on an S rating on the online mode, so which is the top of the top class for safety, so probably just means I'm a little bit too cautious, but hey ho. Limits the amount of penalties that I get, and also means that I'm driving alongside other people that are as safe as I am, which is preferable to being in a lobby that would no doubt be full of people that just crash you non-stop, which I imagine exactly what E-class racing, E-safety rating people, lobbies are like. In there. Come on. Yeah, that fog hasn't really lasted, has it? Made no impact on the ability of this race, and it's now blazing sunshine.
One more lap.
Oh, I know you don't have to tell me. Let's catch this. Is it Porsche? Let's finish on a win. Oh, it's an Evora. Well, that was a bit more competitive than the previous one. Less no man's land like Silverstone was, or Silverstone. But yeah. Oh dear. Well, I am rewinding that because that was just me ever so slightly going too quick. So I wasn't going to catch that slide like I did in the first lap. Yeah, it seems to hit the apex from my car. Don't know why, I've not lowered it or anything, so it shouldn't be grounding out. But regardless,
Good run out there.
another win. Second of 3. So, yeah, that's pretty good as far as I'm concerned. But definitely a lot closer that time in terms of overall lap time, overall race time. So, yeah. AI, though, being wildly inconsistent. And we're now 10 points ahead of second place and 12 points ahead of third. So, yeah, we're definitely gaining a big lead. But regardless, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this latest episode. Sorry if I've just been going on again and another endless rant, but I like to vent at times, and yeah, this game does frustrate me in certain ways, and it's in ways that could easily be fixed, but whether or not they will or not, I really doubt. They seem to be set in stone, these kind of ideas that they've come up with from the start of making the game. So yeah, but regardless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.